Greetings and salutations, all you truth seekers out there. This is Project Truth Beam. I just wanted to do a quick video addressing this beautiful time of the year. And biblically, it is Passover, and there is a lot of misinformation, a lot of traditional stuff, and I just want to address those traditional things. First of all, Passover, in a sense, was when God was removing the Israelites out of Egypt, and he sent the 10 plagues, and one of those was the firstborn son was going to be killed by the destroyer at nighttime. And what you were supposed to do if you were part of God's people, including the Egyptians if you wanted to, and some of them did, but you kill a lamb, firstborn lamb, a young lamb, yearling, and you drain the blood, and then you put the blood over your doorpost. And basically, Pesach is the Hebrew word for Passover. It means to protect. So God protected the people. It's like he stood at the door and kept the destroyer from coming in. And Pharaoh's firstborn son died. There's new evidence to suggest that King Tut was actually Pharaoh's firstborn son that died in the plague. So traditionally, there's the Passover Seder. There is bitter herbs and a bone on the plate, and a egg, and some lamb, and some matzah, and a very dry cracker called matzah. And most of this stuff is traditional. It's not really exactly what they did biblically. So I just want to talk about biblically. So let me just start with the matzah. So in 30 BC, there was a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Hillel, and he is recorded to be the first one to wrap his matzah around the Passover sacrificed lamb meat and the bitter herbs. And so, how are you supposed to wrap a cracker? It doesn't work. So historically, matzah was just flattened bread, kind of like what you see pita or burritos type stuff. That is unleavened bread. That's what matzah really is. And I just actually made some. Leviticus 2 actually tells you the recipe book on how to make matzah. I made mine in a pan with olive oil, and it's delicious. So that's matzah. The lamb is just lamb meat. Of course, everybody understands that. But the bitter herbs, I wanted to talk about the bitter herbs. So in Numbers, in modern Hebrew, they eat parsley. They dip it in salt water. They dip it in vinegar, and they eat that. And then they use horseradish. Well, the problem with horseradish being, ancient biblical, accuracy, is horseradish is European. It doesn't exist in the Bible. They were not eating They weren't eating horseradish out in the desert at Mount Sinai. But in Numbers 11, verse 5, we get a description of all of the foods they were missing, or they're just listing, and it's cucumbers, melons, leeks, and the English translates onions and garlic. And the Hebrew, it's ha-kishuim, ha-avatikaim, ha-tzitzer, ha-bet-za'alim, and ha-shumim, which is garlic. And bet-za'alim is biblically, you would say they are scallions and shallots, and we translate them as onions. So let me go in order. So here's my leeks. This is what leeks look like. This is a shallot. It's like an onion. And this is a scallion. It's green onion. It's the little wild ones that you chop up the green stuff parts. That is a scallion. And of course, everybody knows what garlic looks like. That's the garlic. So those are the bitter herbs that the people would have been using for their bitter herbs that they would put with their lamb's meat and their matzah. So they're essentially making a sandwich. God was saying, you're going to make a sandwich. It's on the go. It's going to be a little bitter. You're going to eat some stuff that might make you tear up or get emotional because the garlic and, things that taste like onions will make you cry. So that's, you're on to go, and you're going to remember you're escaping from bondage from Egypt. Now, this is really cool. This is just added information. There was a synagogue that they found in 1973 in northern Israel called Re'ov. It's 4.5 kilometers from West Jerusalem, from the Jordan River. A synagogue with a mosaic on it, and it records a record of all the fruits and vegetables at that time. And again, this is 3rd century to 6th century, probably around 500 AD. And the list goes as follows. So these are all biblical fruits and vegetables that people were eating, and they don't have horseradish. All right, so it's cucumbers, watermelons, muskmelons, parsnips, mint. Mint is bounds to itself, black-eyed peas, wild leeks, block cumin, sesame, mustard, rice cumin, dried lupine, which is a bean, large-sized peas, garlic, scallions, grapes, haythons, I don't know what that is, dates, wine, and olive oils. Those are the ingredients in which people are eating back in the day. And so the Passover Seder that's being done by Judaism, the religion of Judaism now, is it's close, but there's a lot of man-made traditions. The egg that's on the plate, that's Asheroth or Easter worship, fertility goddess. The broken bone on there, I don't agree with that. And then there's some people out there thinking they're keeping the feast. So you can't keep the feast, you can celebrate the feast. There is no temple. You can't actually go to Jerusalem and celebrate Passover. We have no place to do the sacrifice of the lambs. And you're not told to sacrifice the lambs in your city gates, only where God permits to do the Passover. So that is my 2 cents on Passover. And if you are celebrating that biblical feast called Passover, it is also, when you eat the Passover, is different from when the animals were being sacrificed. The animals were being sacrificed during the daytime on the day of Passover, but you don't eat the lamb meat until nighttime, which happens to be the first night of unleavened bread. And why is this significant? Well, it's significant because we know that Jesus is the Passover lamb, and he died at the same time they were doing the lamb sacrifice at the Temple Mount. And just like the priest would go out after he's done slaughtering all the animals, he would go out and say, "It is finished." And of course, what did Jesus, Yeshua, said on the cross? He said, "It is finished." And so he is the Passover lamb, and he was in the grave at the same time that everybody was eating lamb and everybody was eating unleavened bread. So, praise God for this awesome shadow picture that was going to be fulfilled in history regarding Moses and the Exodus and coming out of bondage, and Jesus, Yeshua, saving us out of bondage for him being a sacrifice. So praise God, we are freed from sin by the blood of Yeshua, and that's what it is. That's what Passover is. There are still some cool things out there, and I'm gonna keep hitting you with these feasts because there's shadow pictures of good things to come, and I'm really excited about that. And everybody should look into the feast. They're so deep. We are called to be living sacrifices. And how are you supposed to know what that means if you don't even know what the sacrifice system is? So that's my little short video. Thank you so much for joining me.